This is where a lot of hardcore meatheads and strength coaches get it all wrong. When we're talking about training an athlete, the goal of the weight room is not to be the best in the weight room. So when you watch an athlete train and you see their videos, to criticize their training is a really tricky thing without knowing how they're actually using that weight room to help them get better at sport. Let me explain. It's really popular for a while to watch LeBron James workouts and be like, oh, he's doing this in the weight room, doing that in the weight room. Look how silly this is. This exercise is silly. He should be lifting heavier. He's one of the best basketball players to ever play the game. Is he optimizing the weight room for muscle growth in his training? No. You could factually say his workouts are not going to make him the strongest in the weight room as possible. Not even the strongest he could be as possible. Not even the fastest he could be. Not even the quickest he could be. But none of that matters because he's training to be the best basketball player. And so sometimes what you do in the weight room can be as minimal as it makes me feel good. Because if LeBron feels good and goes out and performs and plays really well, the weight room did its job. If there aren't any issues like an injury history that commonly reoccurs, a performance deficiency that's directly related to the weight room, slowing down, like you lost a step maybe because of an injury. Michael Jordan has a classic example. He had to get physically heavier to deal with the Detroit Pistons, a direct weight room thing. But if it's not directly connected to the weight room, what they're trying to work on, and their rate limiting factor to success, some might argue it'd be LeBron James' jump shot or mid-post game, more so than his weight room, then it's not the thing he's trying to optimize and just spend all of his time and energy on. Because if you go in there and you say, hey, Mr. James, I'm going to lift you as hard as we possibly can, we're going to get you as jacked as you possibly can, and we're going to get the most out of every single rep in terms of intensity, force, output, and effort. How tired do you think he's going to be? So when he goes to do 2 hours of skills training and you have fatigue in your legs that is non-specific to the fatigue that occurs in basketball, and you try to develop a skill on that fatigue, what does that do to your motor pattern? My left leg is sore, my right leg is sore, I'm going to work on my jump shot, but they're sore because they have lifted a whole bunch, not because they've been running up and down the court like they would in a game. And I'm going to try and work on my jump shot. You're not even optimizing the thing you're trying to optimize, which is get better at basketball. You see this so often, and it's such a mistake because guys who are physically limited and their rate limiting factor in terms of developing a skill, because to get better at a sport, you need to express a certain skill, and you evaluate specific skills that are holding them back, and you say that skill is limited by their physical ability, then the weight room plays an important role in terms of maximizing that physical ability so they can translate that to a skill in a sport. So when you watch someone work out, they might only be doing just enough to maintain their physical qualities, because they can maintain their physical qualities and they've yet to even express all their physical qualities in terms of skills. They're not interested, nor does it matter if they get stronger. Like imagine if you had a car that goes 200 miles an hour, but you could only drive it at 60. What's the point of making it go 250 miles an hour? If you can't drive it past 60, what's the point? How about you just get better at driving your car faster? You see, this is the biggest frustration I have when I watch people talk with such adamancy, with such sense of correctness, or even criticism, maybe that's the word I'm looking for, to watch someone else's workout and to critique it with such confidence that that's why it's a mistake, without contextualizing any of it, or even understanding how the weight room is different from that of someone else, someone who's trying to be, a bodybuilder, a powerlifter, a sprinter, a basketball player, how it's all different relative to what that athlete is doing. It drives me crazy because it's just not the correct advice. Because yes, someone could get more out of a weight room training session. I could get more out of the weight room. I could lift harder. I could train harder. I could break myself down and tear myself up more in here. Well, what's that going to do for me if I can't do an in and out step back like I want to? If I get really jacked and strong, I still can't do my in and out step back. Basketball move for basketball fans. So, before anyone critiques anyone, you have to critique yourself as to how you analyze stuff. And until you take in the full breadth of the situation, your criticism at best is lacking, let alone might be incorrect. Please don't do this anymore.